So no doubt about where the big game is this weekend. 4:30 at Anfield for a repeat of the Champions League final as Liverpool take on Tottenham. And we've got the boys in the studio for the head-to-head. Dan is going to be arguing the case for the league leaders, Liverpool, whilst Bobbie is going to be talking up a rare away win for Tottenham. So let's get into it then. First round is who is going to win this match. And Liverpool, a very short price of 1-2 to win the game, given their excellent record at Anfield, not been beaten at home in the league in 44 matches. You can get Spurs at 11-2 to win this game. The draw 10-3. And Dan, looking at Liverpool's record, it's easy to see why they're such a short price favourite.
Yeah, very easy. As you mentioned, 44 games unbeaten at home. Unbeaten in the Premier League this season. No side has really looked close to beating them. I know Manchester United gave them a run for their money, but you always got that feeling that Liverpool were going to get the equalising goal. Tottenham haven't managed to win at Anfield since May 2011. They really struggle when they go there. It's not really a great place for them. And Liverpool have got the joint best defence in the league at the moment. We look at them and their front three, we tend to just focus on those. But the likes of Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip has been a real unsung hero. Such a hard side to score against. And then you've got the midfield three, which looks really settled these days. Fabinho is there as the defensive shield, and Henderson and Wijnaldum do all the running. So Tottenham, with their really bad form at the minute, I think will struggle to breach Liverpool more than the other way around.
Yeah, Bobbie, the odds are stacked against you and Tottenham because Spurs' away record is pretty poor and their record at Anfield in general is fairly atrocious. But can they spring a surprise?
I think they can. I mean, there's probably not many that will agree with me this weekend, but you look at the performance Liverpool put in against Manchester United, it wasn't great. I think all good things have to come to an end, don't they? And we saw their winning run in the Premier League come to an end last time out. This run of form at home, I think, in the Premier League, which stretches back so far, I think could potentially come to an end as well this weekend. I'm not suggesting that Tottenham can go on and win this one, but I think they can get a draw. I think they can frustrate Liverpool. When you've got players like Harry Kane in there, Heung-min Son is looking good at the moment. He's coming back to form. Eric Lamela looked good in midweek in the Champions League as well. These are all players that can play key roles. Dele Alli scored against Watford last time out. I think the tide is just starting to turn for Spurs. They're a very good team. And OK, the form has been pretty poor so far this season, but as we say, Liverpool's good form could come to an end. Tottenham's improvement could start to really take shape, and I think they can take something from Anfield.
Yeah, draw would be a good result for Spurs, given that they've only won once at Anfield in the last 20 years. But I've got to give it to Liverpool and Dan on this one. It's just so difficult to look past the Reds at this moment in time. Well, let's move on to the second round then, the goal scorer market. Now, Dan, Mo Salah missed the game against Manchester United back in midweek and scored. Is he amongst your tips to score at the weekend?
He's not. Sadio Mane is my main tip at 6-5. He's got 9 goals in 13 matches this season, and you still get the feeling that teams tend to focus on Salah and Firmino more than they do Mane, and that's why he's able to just drift in from that left-hand side. And as well, right-back has been a real problem position for Spurs this season. Serge Aurier's form has been very poor. They've tried Moussa Sissoko at right-back. That hasn't really worked. Kyle Walker-Peters currently injured. They might even have to play Eric Dyer in that position. So they are left exposed on that side. So that's why I think Sadio Mane is a very good bet to score.
And what about you, Bobbie? Obviously, Harry Kane is the lead man still. Got a good record against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, he has. He scored 5 in 10 games against Liverpool, so he does enjoy playing against them. He's 19-10 to score in this one. I don't think you go far wrong backing Harry Kane in most matches to get on the score sheet. He tends to score more often than not. He got a brace in midweek in the Champions League, so he's in good form. I think you look at other contenders as well, though. I mentioned previously Heung-min Son is looking good at the moment. He had a slow start to the season. He was suspended for the first couple of games. He's since come back. He scored in the win against Crystal Palace. He scored in the Champions League in the loss to Bayern Munich, and then a win in midweek against Red Star Belgrade. He got 2 as well. He's a really good price at 10-3. And I think I'd also be looking at Lamela, another player I mentioned earlier. He also scored in midweek, and for me was man of the match, even though Kane and Son both scored 2 goals apiece. He looked bright, he got assists, and he was in and around the box, floating into good positions. And I just think the way that Liverpool play sometimes, especially at home, a bit swashbuckling, they can get players forward on the attack and leave themselves a bit vulnerable. So a player like Lamela coming in from the flank into those central areas, I think he might get a bit of joy in this one.
I do like Bobbie's arguments, and Liverpool haven't looked as strong defensively at home this season as the previous campaign. So I'll give it to Bobbie and we'll level things up going into the final round then. So the last round is the Longshot bets, cards, correct scores. What have you gone for, boys? Dan, we'll start with you.
I've gone for Liverpool to repeat what they did in the Champions League and win by a 2-goal margin at 39-10. I really do think the heavy win over Red Star Belgrade in midweek does paper over the cracks for Tottenham. It was only their first win in 8 games, and I think maybe just getting a little bit too carried away. Liverpool aren't the side you want to face when you're in bad form. They've got a really ruthless streak about them now. I think it's fair to say they've maybe not played as well this season as they did last, but they're winning games, they're getting results when they're not particularly playing well. They beat Arsenal, they beat Chelsea. Were they outstanding in those games? Probably not, but they still managed to get the results done.
And what about you, Bobbie? What have you picked out as far as Spurs are concerned?
Yeah, I've gone for a correct score in this one, and that's Tottenham to win at 1-0. You can get that at a massive 25-1. I think so much value in that when you consider that there wasn't much between these two sides in the Champions League. I know Dan's saying they won by 2 clear goals. One was that early penalty with so much debate around it. Both sides just looked really tired, didn't they? And eventually Liverpool managed to nick a late goal to make it 2-0. So I think the scoreline flattered them a little bit in that one. And I look at Liverpool and I do think they've got vulnerabilities in their side. I think there are frailties there. Spurs, OK, they haven't been the best defensively this season, but in years gone by, they've been one of the best defensive sides in the league. They've still got the majority of that defence. Pochettino's still at the helm. I think they'll be going there to set up a tight unit, looking to play on the counter, soak up pressure and get those balls forward for Kane and others to try and latch onto. So a 1-0 win for me, I think, is good for Spurs.
That is a big price for that particular scoreline, but I've got to go with Liverpool. I just don't believe that Tottenham can do the job. So it's Dan and Liverpool who win this week's face-off. That is your lot from us. Don't forget to subscribe to our social media channels to stay up to date, and click the subscribe button on YouTube to keep getting these videos.